Hey, nice seeing you again. Long week, huh? Here, sit down. It's a bit chilly tonight. I hope your new year was fun and restful. Things have been hectic recently. I know a lot of you know about the crazy stuff happening with D&D lately, and if you haven't heard, I'm honestly happy for you. Check out any of these 3 videos to be filled in proper. Long story short, the link between the company that makes D&D and its third-party creatives has been heavily strained. They've lost a lot of the goodwill that's been built up for the last decade, and many channels like mine have to ask the hard question, is it worth covering D&D anymore? If we have no support from the guys up top, and likely never will, should we keep propping them up with our time and energy? So I've taken some time away to think. I haven't posted because, frankly, it's been hard to get motivated. Don't get me wrong, I love D&D. I really dove into it 5 years ago, funnily enough, after watching a game with the Critical Role cast and Vin Diesel. I was enthralled by the way Matt Mercer wove a story out of thin air, and I loved the twists and turns caused by a single roll of the die. I loved the world suddenly spoken into existence and the hold it had on those who listened, and I realized so quickly that this was something I'd been looking for a long time. Needless to say, I've been hooked ever since. My Roll20 and Foundry numbers are only a small testament to all the continents I've spoken to life, the hundreds of pages of lore I've drafted just for the ears of maybe 4 people. I've made dozens of friends spanning the country and the world, spending long nights delving dungeons with people in Discord chats many time zones away. I've taken buses and planes to meet these people because these fantasy stories have always felt as true as memories. Lots of D&D's pull is credit to its writers and designers, but also to brand recognition. When I finally learned about tabletop RPGs, D&D had the biggest market share and the highest odds of finding me. It hasn't always been this way, I'm told, and perhaps might no longer be, but with the movie coming out and a new edition on the horizon, there's a really high chance more people than ever will be just like me, asking what this game's all about. And I'll be here, ready to field their questions and likely run some games, and I want people to have the same chance I had to be introduced to this hobby and the same opportunities to write stories still unwritten. But after this whole mess, I think it's time to put my own journey in perspective. I've run several hundred games as a game master and played in close to 1,000. I've played more D&D than most people ever will in their lifetimes, and with this recent push that has, in a sense, disenchanted me from this one game, I think it's finally time to tread new waters. The latter half of 2022, I started studying other tabletop RPGs to learn how stories are told and rolled beyond the D20 system. I had a blast playing games of Blade in the Dark, Masks, and the new Avatar Legends, and quickly realized how much I've unintentionally been avoiding. So, in the wake of the OGL and the ominous clouds to come, I have some announcements about the future of this channel. First and foremost, the channel's name's getting a simple change. Wintry D&D from here on out is going to be just Wintry. I thought about going back to the Wintry Wyvern, but 1, that's really long, and 2, the Dota heroes clogging up the SEO, which means what you'd expect. We'll start covering more than just D&D on this channel. My newest project, starting this year, is gonna be called 99 More, which is an ongoing series featuring me learning and trying out new tabletop RPGs from the eyes of someone who only knows about Dungeons & Dragons. The goal is to cover 99 different tabletop games, whether through shorts, live streams, interviews, or proper videos. This could take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, probably longer, but by the end of it, I want to be really well versed in what all these other publishings have to offer. If you've got recommendations on what game to play, or maybe know someone willing to teach it, please let me know. Secondly, my ongoing project continues. The Your Rivers Are Wrong podcast, hosted by myself and my wonderful co-host across the ocean, continues into season 4. We met 4 years ago online through D&D and have since combined our efforts to improvise entire worlds and stories in 40 to 60 minute pieces. I'd love if you check that out. Our first episode of the season dropped this week. The link's probably somewhere below. Finally, to anyone wondering, D&D coverage will continue to happen, but not nearly as often. The wind's really been knocked out of my sails about 1D&D, and it's hard to be motivated about it anymore. I want to appreciate the efforts of their design team that's never had anything to do with this whole OGL debacle, but it's hard to do that without supporting the company's bottom line. I'm not going to tell you where to spend your money, and there's no way I'd tell you what game to play. At the end of the day, if you and your friends get to hang out and make memories together, whatever game gets you to that table works for me. In terms of 1D&D, I'm sure there's still much to learn, much to laud, and much to lambast well into the future, but that's something we can worry about another night. I know a lot of you are here for D&D and only that, so I thought I'd give you a heads up. If you're still here after tonight, thanks for sticking around. I think a lot of us need a break from a really stressful start of the year, and if you want to hang out for a bit, I don't mind. I'll be here. Stay as long as you want. Have a good night and stay frosty.